Hello everyone, Namaskar. Welcome to this video. The title of this video is How to Analyze the Case Study, and I am Bhim Bahadur Khadka, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Management, Mid-Western University, Nepal. As we know, COVID-19 is burning all over the world. At the same time, it has also negative consequences in our education process. Due to this, I have made this video to share the information about the case study and its analysis part. I hope this will be more useful to the business students, especially MBS and MBA. What exactly the purpose of this presentation I have designed relates in 4 areas given below. First of all, I would like to give a brief explanation of case analysis. Then I want to start off by explaining why case study is an integral part of management education. Another purpose of this video is to sum up the important steps of the case analysis. And finally, I will end the presentation with some writing tips and conclusions. I hope you will use this video to analyze the case of real life situation in your workplace as well as in your examination purpose. So without any delay, I would like to explain the meaning of the case study. It is said that the case analysis as a technique of teaching became a part of management education from the 1800s, which was first practiced by Harvard Business School. This method has been using with a more comprehensive teaching strategy of universities in the Western world. But recently in our universities in Nepal, we are using this technique is an important way of teaching management education. The case method is a powerful student-centered teaching strategy that can impart students with critical thinking, communication, and interpersonal skills. This is known as student-centered pedagogy because there is an important role of students while analyzing the case. Students have to involve in identifying problem statement. They need to have a short analysis. Different alternatives have to be identified, and they should evaluate the alternatives to make the decision. Of course, they choose the best way of solving the stated problem. Instead of listening to the teacher exclusively, students and teacher interact equally. Group is encouraged and students learn to collaborate and communicate with each other. In this whole process, teachers play the role of facilitator. The teacher needs to provide guidelines and necessary feedback. But the students have to involve very comprehensively for analyzing the case. As we are discussing, this method is participative and interactive among the students. Therefore, this is known as student-centered technique. It became a vehicle or tool for discussion, analysis and learning of students in a practical way to resolve the administrative problem or situation in a real or imagined organization. Every case has certain administrative issue, or that is called management issue, and those issue or problem may be in different areas. For example, it may be in marketing, production operation, human resource, behavioral, ethical, environmental, and legal, and so many other areas. So the important things here is the way of finding an optimal solution to solve the administrative or managerial issues. Another thing we need to discuss is that the case can be real or it can be imagined. In most of the cases, it is real if the actual organization with actual information or data is given. This is known as a real case. For example, the case given to us of Domino Pizza relating to its managerial aspect is a real case. But when the organization and information or data both are not real, if they are hypothetical, this is known as imaginative case. While cracking the imaginative case, the author must consider the ethical ground in the sense that he or she should not choose a real organization with imaginative or hypothetical data. Sometimes it may damage the image of that organization. The case study generates an action-oriented teaching environment. The student must actively participate in the process to meet learning objectives. Here another important things that need to be considered while analyzing the case is the linkage of textbook knowledge with real life situation. Theories, literatures and teaching notes. As we have different theories defined by philosophers and researchers have developed various kind of literature in the field of knowledge, these things need to be utilized and linked when analyzing the case. It means that those relevant literature and field of knowledge should be linked with the case study. So, what is the point of using case study analysis for management education, let's say MBS and MBA programs? From my experience, personally I feel that there are main 4 advantages to the case study analysis from a teaching and learning perspective. Number 1 is it helps the students get involved in data-driven decision-making process. You will see that most of the case studies have data as a part of the entire narratives. So in that sense, you are given an opportunity to use that data that is typically available only to managers. Now this data actually helps you to make the decision. Number 2 is it will help you appreciate the complex real world scenario. Most of the time when you learn theory in the classroom, everything appears linear. For example, an increase in salary will lead to motivation, a decrease in price will raise turnover, etc. But then the problem here is real life doesn't really work in that way. All of us know that and business decisions are even difficult given that there are so many affected variables such as internal environmental factors, external environmental factors, customer based factors and so on and so for real world business scenario are complex. So the case study give or let's say help you appreciate the new answer of taking decision in real world business environment. Number 3, case studies are typically open-ended problems in that sense that there is no right answer or there is no wrong answer. The point is to go through the process, the point is to analyze the data and then based on that you need to take the decision that you feel good about, right? So in this way you can apply your learning from the case study. And of course finally the case study actually helps in decision and dialogue. Right from our perspective in the classroom we use the case to generate a conversation, to build an interpersonal skill, to make habit of analyzing the event critically and to develop communication skill to the students. Taking a case study analysis is an integral part of teaching management education. Here we need to understand the basic steps of analyzing it. So for our purpose, here we are discussing different 4 steps to the case study analysis. First one is situation analysis. At the first time, while analyzing case, we need to conduct a situation analysis. While talking about situation analysis, within this, there are 3 dimensions that need to be discussed. Number one is read the case at least 2 times. At the first time, read the case like a story, because the case study given to you is like a story about a company or a specific business situation. But at the second time, when you read the case, you have a pen and paper handy, because now what you doing is you are taking note of the key actors and their issues and perspectives. If you look at the case study, it is typically more like a narrative wherein people in companies have certain issues, they are talking about it, and they are in the process of making decisions regarding those problems or issues to move forward. So at the second time, when you read the case study, you need to take note of the key actors and their issues and perspectives. Subsequently, third one is to identify weakness and opportunities or resource situation of the firm, or also we can say it SWOT analysis. Subsequently, once you have done with the basic listing of the key actors, now you start with a brief analysis of the weakness, opportunities and resource situation of the firm. So in that sense, you are doing a SWOT analysis of the company based on a narrative as well as the data given in the case study. All of we really understand what is SWOT analysis. As we know, it is strength, weakness, opportunities and threat which exist inside and outside the organization. Now you need to list out those elements, because eventually as you move ahead and start making the decision or provide necessary recommendations, you have to make sure that overall SWOT analysis of the company should match with your recommendation, otherwise it becomes meaningless. Once you have done with the situation analysis, the second step is problem statement. And within this problem statement, here we are going to discuss the 3 dimensions. And first of all, problem identification, or let's say identify the key problem facing by the decision maker. Essentially in this step, you are realizing the issue and problems of the organization based on the narrative and data given in the case study. Here you are trying to discuss the problems facing by the decision maker. I have already explained that there are certain kinds of administrative or managerial problems or issues, and that need to be identified clearly. At the second time, you have to understand that there is a difference between identifying symptoms and identifying problems. Later on, we need to relate the symptom to the actual problem. Why do I say this? Because the problem of the case study is related to certain symptoms. When you dig into the symptom very clearly, then you will be able to identify the problems. As a decision maker, now it is your job to read between the lines and dig deeper into it and truly understand what the problem is. Therefore, the most important thing to keep in mind the success of good analysis is never ever confused about symptoms and problem. Another thing within this problem statement we need to discuss is making a note of missing information. Essentially, what you are doing is you are supposed to analyze and make a good recommendation from the given certain problems and issues facing by the decision maker. For that, you need to observe what kind of information is being provided in the case study and what the missing information there is. It is important for you to make your recommendation including new information which actually help you to make better decision. So here you need to make a note of missing information, or let's say relevant information. So all these became very important because these are like the heart of case analysis in any situation. Then the question became, what is the differences between symptom and problem? Why I am trying to differentiate between symptom and problem? While analyzing the case, you need to differentiate between symptom and problem, because this kind of analysis will lead you to define the problem facing by the decision maker. Now the question here is, what is the difference between symptom and problem? So while differentiating between symptom and problem, we can utilize one of the interesting method, that is why approach. Maybe 3 or 4 or 5 why. In this way, it will always help you truly differentiate between symptom and problem. Let me take an example and tell you what a symptom is and what the problem is. If you have a fever and your body temperature is 103 degrees Celsius, so here fever is your symptom. And if you dig deeper, then you realize that you may have some kind of element that is actually leading to that fever, and that can be your problem. So if you don't dig deeper or do not have a proper diagnosis, you are essentially treating the fever and actually not reaching in the underlying problems. Now the same thing applies to business problem as well. For example, if the sales have gone down or sales decline, this is a kind of marketing problem. And if you keep observing at the peripheral level only, you will never be really able to solve the generated problem. In the same case, we have another example using the why approach. Here, just for the sake of illustration, I am showing you 3 YF. And the first why. Why have sales declined? When you dig it, you find that sales have declined because there are few salesperson in marketplace. Okay. Then you dig deeper again and then ask, why there are so few salesperson in marketplace? Let's say it why number 2. After digging it again, you now find that the reason behind so few salesperson in the marketplace, because many salespersons have left the company in past 1 year. So the turnover or attribution rate has essentially increased in the sales department. Oh. And then you start asking the third why. Why did the turnover rate increase? Now when you dig deeper into it, you realize that the compensation plan or incentive plan was changed, and the compensation plan for the workforce who were working partially on commission basis were negatively affected. Their commission were cut down. Therefore, this kind of demotivation of people working in the different department of the organizations were demotivated, and they start leaving the company. So, utilizing why approach, we are able to differentiate symptom and problem. Actually, here sales decline is a marketing problem. In this approach, let's say this symptom, let's say sales decline as a symptom. But when you dig it very well, eventually you see there is a human resource problem, and that is leading to sales decline. So we have next step, that is developing alternatives. Once you have identified the problem statement, and based on the data, you actually start developing solution to the key problems. Now one key things to keep in mind is that never make a laundry list of things to do. Anyone can do that, because I personally can give you thousands of solutions on how you make your life better. But that's not the point, okay? The point here is your exact solution and recommendations. Another important thing that need to consider is that your alternative should directly hit the priority problems that is facing by the company. So in that sense, you should have the ability in your own mind as well as your recommendation perspective to separate the most influential solutions, or you can also say it alternatives, from the laundry of solutions. The next thing is you cannot develop alternatives without considering the appropriate atmosphere, because solution or recommendation or alternative, whatever you want to call it, they do not operate in a vacuum. So you have to make sure that whatever alternative that you have suggested should fall within the organizational constraint. As we have already discussed, that the alternative that you are suggesting should directly hit the problems or should be meaningful in the context of short analysis that have been conducted for the organization. So in that sense, your alternative should fall within the organizational constraints. Once you have developed the alternatives, now you need to move into the next step to evaluate all alternatives from some important perspectives. After having proper evaluation, you need to recommend the appropriate solution with some specific ground. So in this process, while deriving recommendations, you need to run the few questions. I have divided these into 4 different questions, in the sense that these questions establish the criteria to measure or evaluate the given alternatives. Here the question number 1 is, how well the alternative is able to address the stated problem or the issue, or how directly are you solving the specific problem. Here we are measuring the relevancy of developed alternatives. In this phase, the developed alternative may be or may not be appropriate. If the developed alternative are not related to the issues or problem, or let's say they are not really able to address the stated problem, then your whole evaluation and recommendation process doesn't really work. So you need to develop the relevant alternatives. The second question is, are the alternatives consistent with the organization's missions and strategic objectives? Your alternatives or solution, whatever you developed, that cannot be random, or that should not be random. They have to fall within the strategic direction, objectives, mission of the organizations. Here you are checking whether the solution or the way of doing the work is according to the organization goal, or they are not matching with that, your organizational goal. If that is not matching, then your recommendations do not mean really anything. So we also need to evaluate question number 3. And the question number 3 is, does the organization have the ability and resources to implement the solutions? Again, as I said, you cannot give the solution if they cannot be executed, or say if you don't have resources to execute the solutions. Consequently, the final question you need to ask would be, if you do not have resources to activate or to run the defined solution, then what additional resources the organization should manage to implement the alternatives? Here the organization, let's say there are fewer resources to implement your solutions or alternative, then you need to recommend what kinds of additional resources and at what cost should the organizational resources the organization need to allocate or procure to achieve the specific solutions. So in this whole process, essentially what you are doing is the point of identifying a problem, to the point of providing alternatives, to a point where you actually achieve these solutions. So this is the whole point of case study analysis. So at the end of this presentation, in this slide I am going to present the way of case writing as well as other important writing tips. From the examination point of view, and as well as while writing the formal case analysis report, we need to obtain some necessary steps. Although we have already discussed all the steps in detail, again I am going to summarize those in a logical stepwise format. However, it could be different, or let's say other professor could recommend in a different way. But when you ask me personally, I suggest the student to go through the following steps. Here are the conditions. Here are different two conditions. First condition is that when the questions are not asked in the case study, sometimes the case study given to you may not have a list of questions at the end. Or let's say in another way, that you are just asked to analyze the case without particular questions. In that situation, we need to analyze the case using the following necessary steps. Here the first step is case description or case summary. After reading at least 2 times from the top to bottom, Now you have to summarize including all the major or key information within a short paragraph. Second step is SWOT analysis. Here in this step, you have to list out the organizational strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. For this, you need to scan the internal and external environmental forces. The third step is problem statement, which is also known as main discussion. This is a very important and critical steps that need to be taken seriously, in the sense that if you are not really able to identify the root problem as well as its symptom, then eventually you are not analyzing the case properly, and later on the solution whatever you derive again will not really help to correct the situation. In these steps, you can use why approach for identifying the underlying problem. Fourth step is developing and evaluating the alternative. In this step, you now need to develop possible or relevant alternatives. Let's say you can develop 3 or 4 appropriate alternatives which actually have meaning and interrelation with problems to solution. Then those alternatives have to be evaluated one by one critically, connecting with some other criteria. You need to consider the organizational goal, organizational resources, and other different organizational resources such as human resources, financial resources, physical resources, and so on. Here you need to be very careful in the sense that your aim is to solve the problem, not to create the additional problem. So you should evaluate alternative based on the constraint of organizational resources. Fifth step is recommending the best alternative. Here you now choose the best alternative. Probably it can be the best one, but sometimes you have to recommend more than one alternative at the same time to address the effective management for solving the stated problem. But while recommending the solution, your solution should be in logical arrangement. It should be referenced or linked with the theoretical perspective, and of course it should be accessible with available resources and feasible for its implementation. And the final step is conclusion. Now at the end of the writing case study, you have to conclude with the whole process. So in this step, you need to write a short paragraph including the activities of the whole process. Here you can include what problem was identified, what way of alternative were developed, and ultimately what alternative was forwarded for its solution. So this is the whole point of case study analysis. And here we have the next condition. Sometime, probably most of the time, not sometime, for the examination point of view, we are given the question at the end of the case study, and in such situation, and that is the examination point of view, when you are given the question at the end of the case, first read the case at least 2 times, then start reading the questions. Now you can write your answer as per the expectation of question given in the case study. But your whole process of analyzing the case is the same as we have discussed in this presentation. Here another important thing that need to be considered, that don't confuse that we are out of track in the sense that we are not following the above case analysis process. It is not true. Here again we need to go through the case analysis process. Here just we are changing our writing pattern. or we are serially writing the answer according to the listed question. Thanks for watching this video.